Here is the stark opening line of a new piece in Politico. Amid the growing battle between President Donald Trump and the courts, a once unthinkable question is harder to shrug off. Will the administration deliberately defy federal judges if it doesn't get what it wants? Norm Eisen is back with us.
Yeah, I think that goes to the heart of the question that we find ourselves in right now, Norm, and everybody's sort of sitting around, I referred to the other day, sort of with their popcorn, waiting to see when will Trump defy the courts. Well, he's already been doing that. I mean, effectively, and that's something that Judge Boasberg in the Venezuelan case has been frustrated with, noting, as he goes into their woefully insufficient response. Judge Boasberg wrote in a 3-page ruling that the government again evaded its obligations to provide information that he had been demanding for days about the timing of the Saturday flights. President Donald Trump had invoked the rarely used law to deport people the administration claimed were members of a Venezuelan gang deemed of foreign terrorist organizations, when individuals have been saying, I'm not. And of course, there's no due process in place for them to show that they're not. And yet the administration still has not done what the judge has asked them to do, and we're over a week now. How long does a judge go before somebody's behind winds up in jail for contempt?
Judge Boasberg is wisely building the record, Michael. Typically, what judges will do when there's an issue of contempt, is they will establish the wrongdoing, and then they give the wrongdoer a chance to correct. I was there in Donald Trump's criminal trial where he was convicted on those 34 felonies. I was there every day. I was covering it. The judge there gave him opportunity after opportunity to cure. Then he started elevating the pressure. He started finding him. Finally, he said, if you do it again, attacking witnesses in the case and others, if you do it again, I'm going to have no choice but to put you behind bars. And Donald Trump stopped. So I think what we're seeing here is a dance with the courts. And, it's like when my daughter was a kid and she'd tell her, don't have those cookies before dinner. And then you go in the kitchen, she'd be there like with a guilty look on her face and crumbs all over. They don't want to say we're defying. But they are pushing, probing. It's a contemptuous attitude. They're leaning into contempt. And the judge, I think, also does not want to stimulate a constitutional crisis. So that's what's going on now in that case and in many others.
So, Norm, what then happens if, in fact, whether it's this judge or another judge, because I'm thinking of Bushra Khatib that we just had sitting here, she was fired from NIH. She was a writer. She was now she's back on probation because of the work that one of the lawsuits and the lawyering that you all have been doing. But she said they don't have their computers back. They're supposed to be reinstated, but they highly doubt that they'll be reinstated. So one could argue that's in violation of the court order. So let's just say, what happens when the government is found in violation and they're held in contempt? What is the recourse from the judge? Because in this case, to enforce the contemptuous, acts.
There's a big debate going on in the legal profession now, Simone, about what the recourse is. But I will tell you, because we have this issue in our big probationary employee reinstatement case, which we're litigating with wonderful partners, the labor movement and others out in San Francisco. We reported to the judge, hey, it doesn't look like there's full compliance. There's some, not more. And then the judge demands more information, evidence, briefing. Courts have a lot of powers. They can hold you in civil contempt, fines. They can initiate criminal contempt. They can rule
criminal
against
contempt
you.
Would mean
a referral. It means a referral for prosecution. It could be for the lawyers. More often it's for the clients, the people in the administration who are not doing these things. They could, this is in some ways is one of the most devastating. They can move against you in the case. They can say, well, I'm going to rule against you in the case. You can go up through the courts. You go to the Court of Appeals. You go to the Supreme Court to get them to endorse the order. Is Donald Trump going to defy the Supreme Court of the United States? At some point, we talk about the guardrails of democracy, Simone. You're right to be skeptical of him. He'd do anything he can get away with. He's been banging into that first guardrail, the courts, the litigation system, litigants like me bringing cases. That guardrail has held. He's losing most of these cases before Democratic judges and Republicans. And that loud banging has started to wake up the political class. Hakeem Jeffries and his caucus, for example, 99.75% of them voted against that CR unity. They're out speaking in town halls now. And it's waking up the American people. We were talking on the break. There's been twice as many protests in 2025 as there were in 2021. The Contrarian, where I'm the publisher, we have a whole beat, the democracy movement. Hundreds of events happening every week. So is going to be a big, peaceful, lawful protest here in D.C. and around the country April 5th. So you're starting to see people wake up. I'll give you one more example. April 1st, Supreme Court race in Wisconsin. It's been nationalized. The theme in Wisconsin is the people versus Elon Musk. And you're seeing high early voting turnout rates because the loud banging on that first guardrail is waking up.
That race for sure.
Norm, just real quick, I want to ask you, because we got to go, your security clearance was revoked. What does that mean for you?
Alicia, Donald Trump keeps saying he's revoking my security clearance. And as part of this, it's the third time. As part of this executive order on Friday, he did it again. I think he reinstates it every time he reinvokes it so he can take it away again. It's a sign of weakness. He's losing and he's lashing out like a child having a temper tantrum. So this is the same with these firms. These orders are illusory. If he thinks he's going to shut me up with these kinds of things, he's got another thing coming. I'm just going to keep filing even more lawsuits.